We couldn't have asked for better news this Thursday morning. India has done it. The men in blue has clinched the bronze medal after what can only be described as a very tense, nail-biting match against Germany. Without wasting any more time, Boria Majumdar joining us live from Tokyo with all that's happening there. Boria, huge celebrations I'm sure has broken out there. You know, we've been getting in a lot of videos of these hockey players calling their family members, celebrating. I just want to get a sense from you of the energy out there.
Unbelievable. You know, in 25 years of covering sports, such days come very rarely. Srijesh getting on top of the goalpost and sitting there like a pole and sort of ruling the world. Manpreet comes to the press conference and says Srijesh will take the call about celebrations. He dedicates it to the frontline workers, Akshita, to every frontline worker, doctor, nurse who's fought through COVID and saved countless lives. So this is a medal that the captain dedicated to them. The coach says this is the greatest day of his life. And his wife will now come to India. He doesn't want to leave India anymore, wants to keep coaching. Manpreet says this is one of those days which will only lead to better times. This is perhaps as good as a gold medal that we had won 8 in the past. So all said and done, each of the players, you could have just, you should have seen young men, they had just lost it. Manpreet said we were crying, we were talking to each other, but we had no idea what we were saying. We were just gazing at each other, looking at each other without any idea what was going on because we were delirious, we were ecstatic, we were joyous, we were celebrating because this is perhaps the moment of our lives. And for us, in the stands, every Indian journalist, volunteer, member of the contingent, anybody who's an official, all of us, we'd also lost ourselves because those last crucial seconds. But let me just also point out something very important. 28 seconds left, the timer had gone off. So my question to FIH, and this is a serious question, you know when Germany got that penalty corner? 6 seconds left. The timer had gone off for 11 seconds. Technically the match was over. Now imagine if India had conceded a goal. How can the timer in the middle of a match go off? It was off for 11 seconds. You robbed India of 11 seconds. You allowed the Germans 11 more seconds to equalize. The Federation of Hockey International has to answer for this. This was ridiculous. Now it doesn't matter, we won it. But what could have happened? After that, the players also, they moved on. But let me tell you, for each of these players, each of the member of the contingent, the coach, the support staff, for the people who weren't selected back home, 16 players came, this was magical, absolutely magical.
You know, what we're showing right now on our screens, Boria, is 1980 versus now. 41 years it's taken for us to be up on that podium again, to win a medal at the Olympics. 1980 versus now. You know, again, you've got such a stellar team that's come together. And, you know, if we start going into the performance fair play, every single one of them did their bit to ensure we got that bronze medal.
The Indian, Spanish and Soviet teams are on the victor's podium.
Absolutely. You know, Akshita, 1928 it started. Twice before had hockey been played, 1904 and 1920. Great Britain won it. In 1928, they were scared of us. Our team went first to London, then to Amsterdam for the games. Great Britain did not field a team because they were scared for India. India scored 29 goals in 28, Dhyan Chand alone 13. 1932 LA Games, we beat America 24-1. That record still stands. 1936 against Hitler, 8-1 in the final. Bare feet beating the Germans in Germany. Dhyan Chand captain hat-trick. 1948 London, the Austria Games, beating England within months of independence. The greatest moment in Indian hockey. 1952 Balbir Singh, 2 hat-tricks, incredible moment. 1956 1-0 in that Melbourne Games. 60 we lost to Pakistan, got a silver. 64 Charanjit Singh in Tokyo. That was the last time when every team played, we won gold. 16 years down the line, Vasudevan Bhaskaran, like you said, Moscow Games, but that was a boycott Olympics. That was the Olympic Games. I'm not taking anything away. All I'm saying is we've got to put it in context. 41 years later, this team wins bronze again in Tokyo, marking a resurgence of Indian hockey. That is why, according to me, this medal is as good as gold of the 1936 kind, of the 1948 kind, of the 1980 kind.
What kind of recognition do you think, Boria, this should translate to? You know, today we're all celebrating. Today the nation is gung-ho. We're all talking about this victory. But it should also translate to a change in the sport of hockey, to how it's perceived in India.
You know what it should translate to? when your son or my daughter wants to play a sport, the obvious choice will not be cricket. That's the translation. When the next young kid wants to go to an academy, his parents will say, my son or daughter will not want to be an IPL player, will want to pick up the hockey stick. That's the translation. The translation is from the grassroots. Your translation is to go to Paris and say, I've got to get to the podium, change the color of the medal from bronze to silver, silver to gold. Come LA in 1928, Brisbane in 2032 rather, 2028. Indian hockey has to get back to that podium. World Championship, Champions Trophy, Olympic Games. You've got to be consistent. The Manpreet Singhs of the world have the potential to be a brand like Virat Kohli. That's what the translation is, Akshita. And that's where we, the media, have a role. An Indian cricket team is playing cricket in England. What are you showing on your channel, you tell me? You are showing hockey. Why? Because this is that kind of a victory. What are we doing here in Tokyo? I'm proud of the India Today group because we are able to do this. We have to build this brand based on what we've just seen being achieved here in Tokyo.
The media also has a huge role in this, in going ahead and giving a sport the recognition it deserves. And that's why, we've chosen that we are going to celebrate this victory. We're going to celebrate it, go all out here on India Today. Boria, for all of us here in India, it's such a moment of jubilation. We're showing all those celebrations on our screens, but we weren't there live. You were there live. You witnessed the match. You witnessed the celebration after the match. So I just want to really, revisit that moment with you. How the boys celebrated soon after.
As I said, the moment it got over, each one of us had forgotten about social distancing. Each one of us in the gallery had forgotten about social distancing. We went berserk. We obviously followed protocol. We had our masks on and everything, but we just went delirious because it was one of those moments of ecstasy. And the players on the pitch, Chak De India was blaring, Jai Ho was blaring, all the Hindi music was blaring. People were running towards each other. They went to the goalpost and started posing for photographs. They all stood there right next to the goalpost. This was the moment of their lives. They formed into a huddle and each one of them was waving to us at the stands, very few Indian fans. This, according to me, is one of the greatest moments in the history of Indian hockey. And like I told you, a sport needs a moment. 1983 was cricket's moment. And why? Because that's when television came in. Hockey's last moment was 80. No color television in India. 1975 World Cup win. No color television in India. 1982 Asian Games, you lost to Pakistan when color TV came in. 83 Cricket World Cup and the sport took off. Tokyo 21, against the backdrop of COVID, millions have suffered, and all of a sudden this team brings smiles on the faces. That is why this victory is so significant.
Boria, I think one of the questions that really stands out for me is from 1980 to now. We haven't got a medal in Olympics. 1980 was the last time we got it. Now we've got the bronze. And you see that contrast on your screens also. 41 years, Boria. What is it about this team? What is it about this team that's ensured that we finally got that medal?
Two things, very simple, nothing complicated. One is fitness and second is desire. Fitness was unbelievable. 1984 we came 5th, 1988 7th, 1998 that match last minute we conceded. Why? Because our teams lacked stamina. Our teams lacked fitness against the Europeans. This team can compete Germany, Belgium, Australia, Argentina, any team you want, second for second till the very last quarter. That is the difference, Akshita. The stamina and the fitness. And they have, take the yo-yo test. Each one of them is 21 plus. That is the difference. It's massive. And once you analyze that, you will get to know what the story is.
Absolutely. We're also putting out all of these visuals of the celebrations that have broken out at these players' residences. Look at that. There's so much of happiness on their face, making up for that 1.5 hours of tension. When all of them looked so nervous, the family members were looking so nervous, were unsure how things would go. And what a match it really was, Boria. You were describing those last few seconds to me also about how perhaps it wasn't really fair what happened in those last few seconds. And it really looked like, this was Germany's chance to equalize. Srijesh, the wall that he's been through this entire tournament, continued to play his part. He's been a real superstar.
Absolutely has been. I mean, and he's one of the senior most players, if not the senior most player. We know what Srijesh Ravindran Paratu is all about. One of the greatest players, one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time. And today, he was like a rock when he finished it off. He was sensational, Srijesh. Make no mistake, Akshita. Make no mistake.
You know, every single player deserves to be celebrated right now. Every single player, part of that team, ensured this moment, ensured that all of these people on your screens and the entire nation, a billion of us, get to celebrate this Thursday